November 10th, 7:04. And I would accept a motion to open our general town meeting.
Councilmember Blue, I'll make a motion to begin the meeting.
Okay, I'll second Blue since you first. I'll second Member Jackson.
Okay. You have a pen? Thank you. Okay, so our first order of business is to, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, any opposed? Okay, meeting is now in order. Okay, so let's start out with a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay, so we can now take a moment of silence. Think about those shut in. Think about those suffering with the virus, pandemic, those who are trying to survive it, those family members who are dealing with it, all other things and matters that need our silence for a moment. Okay, thank you so much. Can we now take a moment and rejoice in the things that we do have in our life, family members, our health, the air that we breathe, the food that we eat, and let's just take a moment and rejoice in all the good things that we have in our world. Okay, thank you. I hope you felt that moment refreshing, especially as we venture on to new things in the whole country. This month is Municipal Government Works Month, where we want to specifically let people know how important it is for municipal government to function and the things that we do in order to make the world better. And so as each one of you give out your reports, I hope you will mention why you think municipal government works. I'm going to start out first with a report on our work session. Our work session was held on Wednesday, November the 4th, starting at 7 p.m. And in that meeting, we talked about our circuit rider program. It's a circuit rider program with the state of Maryland. We have been awarded a circuit rider with the town of North Brentwood. We are expecting that she, which will be again Ms. Goodall, will start working this Thursday for us. And we needed to, and we voted on the resolution agreeing to be a part of this and the $2,500 that is our share in the program. We talked about our Parker Trailer Ordinance Revisited. That's a part of this meeting this evening, so we'll talk about that a little bit more. We also talked about the parking permit ordinance to be updated, and we'll be talking about that a little bit more this evening. And we talked about our final raffle for the census. I had reported out as we were gaining momentum with the census. We finished the census at 79.5%, number 4th in the county and 19 in the whole state of 157 municipalities. But giving out the raffles was something that was promised as a part of getting people to go. So we will be having our final raffle in the next week or so. I'll be putting out another survey for people to certify that they had completed the census and send out more information on that. And we talked about that. We talked about our COVID-19 food fund for November, and we agreed to do $1,000 of coupons from Compare Food, $500 from Save a Lot, and $500 from Aldi's. that is all in progress right now. The cleaning, we talked about cleaning utility carts for the public works and agreed that we will be purchasing them. They would just come out. They're not that expensive, so we didn't have to have a formal vote on that. We talked about the swings for the playground in Mayor's Park. And that was voted on 5-0 to get the swings in the park repaired. We talked about the sanitation stations and agreed to move forward with a recommendation from Mr. Baton on the station to put in the park. Mr. Baton and I will discuss how many stations that will get further, but that was voted on 5-0. We had outdoors, we talked about the outdoor storage shed. This is a shed for public works for which we are concerned with the condition of the current shed. So I was asked to follow up with Mr. Baden on what we might be able to do in order to deal with the shed and the issues with the shed. We talked about 5G. 5G is coming to our neighborhood, and we had new poles that Pepco came and put in place were put in place for the purpose of bringing in 5G to the community. 5G can take on many different appearances, and we passed an aesthetic ordinance over almost 2 years ago in reference to aesthetics and 5G, and we will be having a separate meeting to actually discuss what the process will be for 5G communication on folks to actually put in an application for us to have a review as related to the aesthetics. So later this week, we will be meeting to discuss that. Also, I meant to say that we talked about providing $1,000 of cooked meals for this month, and that is going to be happening. They'll be going out on November 23rd, I believe, and we will have 100 cooked meals. And we've already reached out to many of our seniors to see who wants the meals and some other people in need. But if we still have some others, and we have some for the homeless as well. And so if you know somebody who could use the meal or any of the food coupons, please let us know. And that was the work session. Mr. Barr, you had something on a case that you wanted to mention, and I think that we missed it. Is that something that we can do? Should I put that on this agenda or wait? Mr. Barr?
Mayor, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you had asked about it, to mention about a case that was finishing up, but I think we was talking about it last week.
Yes, well, no, I don't think I got finished last week, or we took it up. We put it on the agenda, but I didn't answer it or wasn't called. I don't remember speaking about it. To be short and sweet, the Lynch case has reached its final place with the Court of Appeals of Maryland, and it has been ruled by the Court of Appeals that the petition for certiorari by Mr. Lynch was denied, and the Court of Special Appeals decision in the favor of the town was affirmed. So unless there's an appeal taken to the Supreme Court, which must be done with the Supreme Court's permission, I don't think we have any further litigation here.
Okay.
Finally.
All right. Okay. Finally, thank you very much for all the work. Case closed. Okay, I'm gonna move ahead with council reports. Councilmember Blue, Ward 1.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just wanted a short report today. Don't forget to check on our neighbors. Make sure everyone's safe. If you see something, say something, notify our police department. Also, there's check on your smoke detectors. This is the time of year that we need to check on our smoke detectors. Make sure everything's up and safe and not overloading everything with a lot of things. Pick up behind your dogs. Some people still are not picking up behind their dogs. If anyone is in need, as the mayor stated, for any food or know anyone that needs food or any type of help with resources, please contact the town hall. Happy Thanksgiving, and everyone. The count's going up again. Let's please stay safe.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ward 2.
Okay, in my ward, we still speeding down 40th place because somebody hit my car last week and they gave me a dimple and a scratch on the driver's side in the back. So I know my car parts can be replaced, but you can't replace a life. So people, please slow down. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much. Ward 3, Councilmember Jackson.
That's evening, if you're listening, Chief, say that, I'm excited about leaving, but I also enjoyed, being elected official for the time. Yours. The mayor wanted to say something about, municipal government work. Because we're the ones that's really connected to the people. It works because we get stuff done, and report back to our county and our county and our state and our delegates. Time, and whoever's running, wish you all the best. I hope that with the council we'll be able to have some seasonal ones that's been on the council stay. That's just my wish. And also, I know Doug is in my ward, and I think he'll do a great job there. I want to say that Prince George's County is having a flood tomorrow, November the 12th, and it's at 5 p.m. So I know some residents was flood in the storm. Have me, if someone wants that information, just send me an email for information. I'd also like to say thank you to all veterans. Tomorrow's Veterans Day. We only meet up at in Blaisburg. I think it's going to rain, so I'm not sure if they're going to have a building because of it. So thank you to all the veterans. That's a report. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Councilmember Jackson. And Ward 4, Councilmember Mendoza.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to reiterate the same thing as Councilmember Blue with the if you see something, say something. And with the cases going up about the COVID, yeah, it's sad. But just remember to wear your mask, wash your hands, and social distance. Mayor brought up about to bring up why municipal government works. And being a council member for the last 4 years, I can honestly say that it works. I've worked alongside great council members. I've learned from each and every one of you, Jackson, Bowden, Blue, and of course, big shout out to my mayor. And it works. I mean, we can agree, but we can disagree. But we're here for the town. We make decisions for financially, services, and it works. So good luck to all the ones that the petition candidates that are going for elections this coming December 8th. And that's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And Ms. Blue, do you want to say something about municipal government? Councilmember Blue? Councilmember Bowden?
Yeah, it promotes the citizen awareness of the interest in government and community. So that's it. That's
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. Thank you for that. And Councilmember Blue, are you there? Okay, well, I'll give my report out. So as we have been very fortunate, Shabak has been very, very generous in giving us food. And we've been able to give out, even again this month, hundreds of boxes of produce and milk to families. Everybody's been really very responsive. Since we last met, the census has been completed, and we got 79.5% of self response. That doesn't count the enumerators that came by. So hopefully the enumerators got the rest of the people out there, but it was a successful campaign that we got through. But we've also been able to give out the food. We had a successful Harvest Fest. Of course, it wasn't the big giant festival that we normally would have here, but we were able to appreciate 90 young people who came out to get their goodie bags and get pictures taken, which we'll be getting out pretty shortly, photographs for them. It was a contact-free event. So there was no contact. They came, got their own bags out and to take away with them. And I just want to thank the police so much for the work and effort that they put into getting it done. I also want to thank Monica. Guys, I can't get her last name straight, but you know who you are, and what am I trying to say? Kurt, man, had a senior moment there. For the effort that they put in, they wanted to do something much bigger than we were able to do under the circumstances of the COVID-19. But I do want to appreciate the effort that they have put into trying to plan something more. Of course, I want to let you all know that the Mayor's Park is now open. Of course, it's called the Monroe Park, but it's the Mayor's Park, as far as we know, is now open. And if we voted to put in some new swings, so we'll be putting in some new swings soon or whatever. And the guys did a really nice job of the company getting us our pavilion back or whatever. So I'm very excited about that. And one of the biggest things that happened this month is that Senator Augustine set up a conference or hosted a conference which included PEPCO, WSSC, Washington Gas, and BG&E. And they were all able to talk to us about the circumstances of utilities. So anybody listening or watching, it's really important that you check in with your utility. The moratorium on cutting off utilities ended on October the 1st, and the state legislature voted in 45 days has to be given for a cutoff notice. So you may have received a cutoff notice sometime after October 1st, but the first opportunity to cut anybody off is November the 15th. Now, if you have not received a cutoff notice, it's important to note that the utility has to give you 45 days to resolve your matter before they can cut you off. I was happy to hear WSSC does not intend to cut anybody off.
Great.
So, yes, throughout the winter, specifically due to sanitation matters, we have to have water under these conditions with COVID-19. So they will not be. However, everybody should know that your bills will accumulate if you don't pay them. So they've also made a ruling, and share this with your constituents, that they ruled that a utility must give you a minimum of a 12-month payment package, repayment plan, if you're behind in utilities. Now, that's brand new, it never has been. And if you're low and moderate income, they have to give you a minimum of 24 months to pay off your utility in arrears. So the only problem that I found outstanding, and Senator Augustine is going to continue to follow up, is that people need not just a payment plan for utilities in arrears, but they need to be able to get on a budget plan for going forward, because the winter months are really expensive. And if you get on a payment plan, then you have to pay all of your winter month bill. And sometimes that's not possible. People need a budget plan. So that was brought to light in the conversation. We'll find out a little bit more about that. But the thing that you should be doing immediately, if you are in arrears, is contacting your utility companies and pay what you can. Spread it out if you need to, pay it down quickly if that works better for you. But there is opportunity out there and relief for support. And if you're looking for help, assistance in paying the bill, you should go out to the Prince George's County website and look for utility assistance. And there are several different groups that will offer assistance, like the Salvation Army and so forth. So take a look if you need help. Our staff here, whether they know the answer or not, is quite willing to help you through, walk you through any support that you need to get to where you need to go, to help you find the right number or the right place if you need help. So we're always here to help you. And that will be my report. Okay, thank you. Moving on.
Hello?
Yes, Councilmember Blue.
Sorry, but my phone kept muting out on me. Let's go back to the municipal government. Everything was stated, and I want to add yes to that, and also contacting and working with our county executive, our delegates, and senators, and all bringing information back to the community. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Okay, we're on to the treasurer's report. That would be Mr. Baden.
All right, if I could pull up the report if you'd like.
Okay.
There we go. Everyone see that?
Yes, I see it.
All right, I got to move it over a little to the side. All right, so this is the financial report for the first 4 months of the current year, July through October of 2020. The total income for this period is $698,000, as you can see down here. The majority of that coming from real estate taxes of $641,470. As most of you know, we get our larger real property tax distribution in the beginning of October. So a lot of that came in October. Leaves $358,000 to be collected. The next largest distribution will come in January. So you can see a lot of our other revenue sources are down. A lot of that has to do with, the municipal building being closed. Not as much collections. The red light camera violations are down. For reduced traffic up on Bladensburg Road. Income taxes, even though they're showing at $15,000, they are on target to come in at budgeted, and also highway users revenues are still being estimated to come in close to budget. And those are two of our larger revenue sources after real property, so we should be okay there. Moving down into expenditures, general government expenditures were $101,787. You can see the breakdown up here on the year-to-date figures. Over half of that relates to salaries. Moving on down, the payroll taxes and benefits are $45,000 out of $105,000 budgeted. That includes payroll taxes, health, life, workers' comp for The workers' comp is just for general government. Senior van operations has been curtailed somewhat from what it was pre-COVID, but we are operating. So the expenses are below what we would normally be. They're at 22%. At this point, they should be at 33, but, we budgeted a higher use of the van when we did prepare the budget. Code enforcement, 7,288. This is really only 2 months. We get billed from Cottage City for these services, and we haven't received the September, October bills yet. So, it's showing a low of 18. The real cost is about twice the 7,200. So that would be more in line as to where we should be. Public Works, 141,578. You can see one larger item up here for Monroe Street park upgrade of 56,655 with no budgeted amount. This was the cost of the park based on the fire damage, and we will be receiving all of this back from we actually deposited the check today. For I think the actual check was like 64,000 because we had also paid 8,000 out last year. So we did get total reimbursement, so that will get offset against the expenditure here. Community Center Town Hall, it's right about a budget, 33%. You can see the maintenance items and debt service for maintenance of the Community Center Town Hall. Public safety, about 119,000. Largest portion of that is related to salaries. We also purchased body cameras during the year. Part of that was with grant funds, and we did receive that 50% of this amount in November. So there will be a reduction in the body camera costs because of the grant. And under community center operations, again, under budget because we are not forming as many programs or many at all at the town hall over what was budgeted. So again, reduced costs there. And then the COVID expenses to date are 30,000, or at least for this fiscal year. Largest portion of that related to hazard pay. All of these costs are reimbursable through the monies we receive from the county and have to be expended by December 15th. So total expenses was 581,000. Positive cash flow for the 4 months is 116,000, which is your revenue received less the expenses gives you 116,000. On the balance sheet side, we had total cash balance and checking accounts of 133,822. We also have $848,000 in our investment account, so we got close to $980,000 in the bank. And there's some other small asset items and some small liability items here. So basically a good financial position at this point in the year. With that, I ask you to accept the report as submitted.
The phones we got for COVID-19, are they lagging on here, or is it's in another line item?
If they were coded properly, they would have showed up here. So either they were not coded properly or we haven't been billed for them yet. I'm not sure when they were purchased and when they will show up on the bill. Check with Kayla on that if she's would have ordered them.
Okay, all right. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Baden? Is there a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
This is Councilmember Mendoza. I'll make that motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Is there a second?
Councilmember Bow, I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
Thanks. All right, I'll call for a vote. Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3, Ward 4.
Aye.
All right, Mayor votes aye. Thank you very much, Mr. Payton.
Welcome.
Okay, moving on to the police report. Chief, if you give us an election report as well, whichever order you wish.
I will try to do a police report if I can get it up on the screen here. Oh, it worked. All right, very good. Can you see that? I guess is that good. All right. Well, for the police report for the month of October, 2020, there were 115 calls for service or incidents in the town, and again, that is anytime someone calls for the police, or if the officers make a traffic stop, or they routine suspicious person, or if they call out and say that they've checked a premise. So the 115 is not necessarily 115 bad incidents. It's just the calls for service in the town. It's just a little bit higher than average, and that can be attributed to an increase in traffic stops. The last council meeting, we talked about cars not stopping for stop signs in town. It's a prevalent problem, and I was asked to increase the enforcement on that. There were not necessarily all for stop signs, but there were 154 traffic stops and 119 violations. And 119 is where a piece of paper was issued, whether it be a warning, a safety or improvement require order, or an actual citation. So I just want those numbers are up significantly over recent months. I'll glance through this. Out of those, we have about, I think it's 12 police reports in the town during the month, and I'll just go through those quickly. First was on the 4th, a minor hit and run at the CVS. We had another minor hit and run in the 4200 block of Lawrence Street, where someone's fence was knocked down by a vehicle, but the vehicle left. We had a theft at the CVS of a cell phone from an employee. They did the right thing, they got the tag number of the car, but it turned out that the car was reported stolen. We had a natural death report in the 3300 block of 40th Avenue. Fraud reported in 3600 block of 39th Avenue. And I mentioned this one. This is one where a resident had a problem with a financial application on the computer, and went to Google and Googled help for this particular application, and got a phone number and called them and talked with I don't know if y'all see me, a quote unquote technician who asked for some information, and they were able to access the person's bank account. I've since heard it on the news that this has become a common problem, that people are going, like, Googling a help desk and calling that number when that's actually a fraudster trying to collect information so they get money from you. So I think the lesson of that is to stick with the in-app help. So just thought I'd mention that. We had a shoplifting at the CVS on the 12th, where pepper spray was used, or a threat of pepper spray was used against the employee. The county has had a number of those in the area and is looking further into that. Another shoplifting at the CVS on the 15th, and another on the 16th. As you can see, there's a trend here with shopliftings at the CVS. That seems to be the problem store in town. We've been doing extra patrols there. They're still occurring. At a disorderly at the CVS, and that was related to a probable shoplifting. When confronted, they became disorderly. Police came and advised the person against trespassing. Shoplifting at the Compare Foods, and in that case, the officers located the suspect, and the store requested that no charges be filed, but they be banned from the store. Threats complaint in the residential area, 3500 block of 37th Avenue. Someone being threatened over social media, but there was no harm or probably not a. I don't think there's anything going to come out of that as far as a real threat. And then finally, a minor hit and run in the parking lot of the Taco Bell. Of those reports, I think about 80% of them are in the shopping, in the business area. And of the calls for service, I did mention it's about half in the business area and half in the residential area. Mayor mentioned Halloween. We had kind of a Halloween this year. Usually Colmar Manor's got a big Halloween celebration between the hayride and the DJ and games for the kids and costume contest. We didn't have too much of that this year, but we did have a trunk or treat here at the town hall, and the officers participated. We had gave out about 90 bags, and on the screen you can see Batman there. That's Sergeant Cowling, and I appreciate his spirit for the day. And finally, over the last several months with COVID-19, we've been assisting with food distribution. And I hear some comments about Colmar Manor doesn't do any food distribution. We never see anything about it. What we don't do is really push it out on social media, and we really rely on our in-house contact information. If the town office does not have your contact information, I would encourage that you provide a phone number. We can text the information and an email, and we'll send it out. And that system works very well. The importance of that is oftentimes we get food for distribution at late notice, and we'll get the word in the morning that it'll be here at noon, and we send out a text and mail notification, and it's gone by 4 o'clock. So I encourage you to make that information available to the town hall. Moving forward, to touch upon code compliance. Over the last couple months, we've had many complaints about the wooden fence around what used to be a car wash at 43rd in Newark. Not only did the fence look terrible, it provided for people to hang out, and we just had many complaints. Our Mr. Wade, our code compliance officer, worked with management, and I'm happy to say that the fence is now gone, and the have reduced significantly. Not gone 100%, but reduced significantly. Mr. Wade has worked throughout the month. The biggest issues is trash and the recycling and not putting plastic bags and getting the bulk trash out on the right day and getting Bates called in advance. And he's working with the residents almost daily trying to get that straightened out. And on the last page, it's kind of sideways on here, but for at least the council, and this is also on the website, is an overview of the complaints handled by code enforcement during the month. I believe that is my report, unless anyone has some questions.
Well, thank you so much, Chief. I appreciate all that. I wanted to ask you if you heard the governor. I did not hear it. I've heard a little bit about the governor had a conference today.
Yes. And I threw my little, there was a couple things. First, there was some false information that went out that said that Maryland was going back to phase 1 and everything would be closing down. That is not correct. They did, however, I'm doing this from memory, so that's going to be terrible. For restaurants and bars, go from 75 to 50% capacity. And I think the biggest thing that would affect us as a town is it's a 25-person limit on gatherings. So that number had been increasing, but it's reduced to 25, which I was thinking that may affect us with the election, but we should not exceed 25 people in the auditorium on election day at any time. I guess we can't at this point.
Right. So is that indoor gatherings or is it indoor and outdoor gatherings?
Indoor gatherings was 25, and I think outdoor is still allowed, but I don't recall the number for that. I'll see if I can find it and get it. I'll get it for you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Chief, for your report. I want to talk a little bit more about the gatherings, if you will. Is there a motion to accept the Chief's report?
Yes, Mayor, Councilmember Blue, I'll make that motion as stated.
Okay, is there a second?
This is Councilmember Mendoza. I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion?
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Yes,
Yes.
Councilman
Yes,
Jackson. I was a little disturbed with all of the, shop. I guess it just shows how, so many people are unemployed and in need of things. Um, it's really sad. But thank you for the officer for patrolling the shopping center, because that's basically where you're needed a lot. Thank you so much for everyone.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank you for all that you guys have been doing food distribution. I will reiterate what you said, if hearing from us, it's because we don't have your information. And we give out hundreds and hundreds of boxes of food here. And usually in a speedy way. I mean, normally we put out a text message, and from the time we start, it's gone in an hour, but definitely within two. We can easily do 100 boxes in a 2-hour span. So we do not advertise our food deliveries to everybody. We have a very focused set of emails that are residents of the community, and text messages, phone numbers that are for residents of the community. So when everybody else is sending their flyers out to everybody, including us, we don't do that. We just are focused on the residents. So to the Chief's point, like somebody might say, oh, you don't give out any food. Well, if you're here in town and we don't have your information, you're not hearing a whole lot of information that we're putting out about a lot of different things. So we hope that if you're not on our list, that you get on our list. If you know a neighbor who's not on our list, get on our list. Municipal government is the closest to the people, but we can only reach you if we have information to reach you. So Chief, if anybody else have anything for the Chief?
yes, Mayor, Councilmember Blue. I want to thank Chief for the report, and also had some complaints from citizens in reference to behind the Taco Bell, the mattress on the ground behind the fence that still hasn't been removed.
All right, I will check on next. Mr. Wade did mention that, and then he has spoken with a business, and it's supposed to go away. So I'll check on that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And go ahead, Councilman Jackson.
Oh, yes, I just want to say that with the food distributing, Mayor, I just want to say, you start with the leader. You did a wonderful job. It's really trying to pull it down in our town. I know you keep as less people as possible being around one another. And I just want to say I thank you for that, because we see now that it's coming back, and it's coming back strong. For your leadership on that. And yes, if we don't have your email or call, please call the town hall and give us the information. We try out and reach to everyone in town. We have did flyers in the past, and we feel that with this email, with the texting, I think that works so well, because everyone has a cell phone.
Yep, it's very efficient. And I thank you, Councilmember Jackson, for saying that. I know a lot of folks thought I was a little bit off of my rocker in terms of how anal I was about us having no contact. Well, I was fussing about, we can do this non-contact. I mean, we don't need people rolling across the table from somebody else, and you're 2 feet apart while you're writing down a name or a number. And COVID it just trickled, but we all need to know that it's here. It's here. We have to take it seriously. And to that point, Chief, whatever it is that you can do to encourage the wearing of masks, outdoors. We appreciate whatever y'all can do because the young people and not so young people who, need to be outdoors and need to, what's the word? Be out and about and seeing each other and playing basketball or whatever. But at a minimum, if they can put the mask on, And so even with so many people out this weekend after the election results, at least for the most part, I saw most people all had their mask on. And that's the minimum we can do to take care of each other. So whatever y'all can do in that area, I appreciate it. All right, so I'll call, yes,
Excuse me. Also,
Councilman.
Chief Stone, yes, if you see someone that doesn't have a mask, can you ask your officers or you give them a mask?
Yes, we have a supply and we'll do that.
And maybe we can make a little note that goes with the mask that, says this saves other people's lives, not just your own, something like that that goes with it.
That'd be great. I'm so glad you said that. We want to thank Delegate Fennell for giving the town some masks.
Absolutely. Yes, it did.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And thank you. And by the way, Chief, we also have some cloth masks that haven't gone anywhere. So they're in the closet. So you need some cloth masks. They're reusable or washable as well. So we have a good number of masks here. And so if we can get them to know it's not just about you, it's about who you're around. And by the way, I don't know if you guys saw it, but Maryland came out with an app. I just saw it last night. I don't know if I still have it. It's a COVID map where you're supposed to be able to put in your information and it can tell you if you've been around someplace where somebody had COVID. Where is it? Here it is. No, that's Facebook. But I left it open so I could say what it was. Did you see it, Chief?
I haven't used it, but I did get an email today where it's available.
What is it called? Do you remember? Because I thought I left it.
No, I have to do some research on that one. I do have it some fun.
Okay. Well, I'm going to call for a vote. Ward 1.
Aye.
Ward 2.
Aye.
Ward 3. Ward 3. Ward 4.
Aye.
All right. Mayor votes aye. Thank you, Chief, for your police report. And so now if you can give us a report on. I got you. Town election.
All right. For the town election, I'll just briefly go over the town election. The town has a mayor and 4 council members. Each are elected every 4 years. This year, all 4 council seats are up for election. The election was initially scheduled in May, but was postponed to December 8th. The deadline for filing as a candidate and also for registering was yesterday, November 9th. And the candidates are as follows. For Ward 1, we have the incumbent, which is Lois Ann Blue, Malik Harding, and Patrina Paxton. For Ward 2, we have Irene Hobbs and Anthony Mills. For Ward 3, only one candidate, and that's Doug Bowles. And for Ward 4, one candidate, the incumbent, Melinda Mendoza. And again, the election will be on December 8th. Polls are open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and we'll be putting out more information, particularly information as far as requests for mail-in ballots. And that seems to be the way to go now. That's all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
Anybody have any questions? I want to strongly encourage anyone and from you and anybody who's on or speak to people in your neighborhood, on your block or so forth, to request a mail-in ballot. You can request a ballot to be mailed to you, or you can request it to be delivered to you. We're a little small town, so it's not that hard to request a ballot. You can bring the request up here for a ballot. Get your ballot right here. And we really are encouraging people to make a request for those ballots. When will the ballots be going out, Chief?
I hope within the next week we should have, by next week sometime they should be going out.
So we'll put out a message when the ballots are ready, and probably put out a message for people to come and get their ballot. Bring in their request to get the ballot, or you can mail in a request, but you have to request the ballot. We're not going to just send the ballots out. You have to request a ballot. But as many as that we can have done without contact, or without having to come into the main facility to vote, will be the best in the circumstances. So we encourage people to do that. You have anybody else have any questions for the chief in relationship to the election?
Mayor,
Mr. Barr?
in order to avoid some unhappy voters and issues and questions that are being raised at this time in the national election, I have a question or two for the chief in this regard. Chief, when the mail-in ballots have to be returned?
They have to be here at Town Hall by 8 p.m. on December 8th.
And can you hand bring your ballot in?
Yes, and we will hopefully, maybe we'll just be part of this discussion is putting out a ballot box that they could come up and anytime the town hall is open and drop off their ballot. The mayor and I spoke about that recently, and that may be an alternative
That makes
to
an
mailing
awful
it in.
lot of sense. Last question. What if a ballot is postmarked and put into the U.S. mail and postmarked on election day?
Then it won't be counted unless the
ahead.
mail works really fast that day and it gets here by 8 p.m. No. And that's been the case over the years. Unlike the presidential election where you have thousands of votes here, it could be separated by one or two. And the count is done at 8 p.m. period.
So just for my edification, to sum up, if you want a ballot, you merely have to send a request into town hall, written request, and a ballot will be sent out to you. To return that ballot, you will have to either bring it to town hall in person and put it in a drop box, which will be outside, or if you don't trust the drop box, you can bring it into the vestibule and deliver it to the employee on duty.
I think we'll do
all before the day of, or on the day of election. Is that correct?
Yes, before 8 p.m. on December 8th. And the requests for the ballots have been mailed to every residence and is also available on the website. You can download it, print it out, and sign it and send it back in or deliver it. It's fine.
And we have a cross-checking system, finally, that will prevent people from voting more than once.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Questions, Mr. Barr, and I will reiterate, our election ends at 8 p.m. on December the 8th. Counting takes place at that time.
Correct.
So nothing that comes in after that will get counted, no matter what. And I also just would recommend if you get an absentee ballot, bring it up or have somebody bring it up for you, whatever. If you want to trust the mail, that's fine, but the mail leaves Colmar Manor, goes to who knows where, and then to who knows where else, and then back to Colmar Manor again. It's so much easier just to get it right here to the town hall by another means other than the mail. All right, that's election news. Thank you, Chief, for all that information. For the candidates, I want to offer you good luck in what you're doing and what your plans are. I am going to try to see if we can schedule a candidate forum, maybe for just after Thanksgiving, so that everybody has an opportunity to introduce themselves to whomever may want to be on a virtual call and hear what the candidates have to say. I'll reach out to you all to see if we can find a date and a time that works for the candidates, so everybody gets an opportunity to do that. And we'll be swearing somebody in next month. So congratulations and good luck. All right, move on. We have no unfinished business at this time, but we do have some new business. Chief, do you want to lead off this conversation and what we're doing here and why? Or do you want me to?
You could start. If you could start it, that would be good.
Okay, so these two items are going to crisscross each other. New business parking ordinance, re-trailer and car for hire, and then the parking permit ordinance updated. As far as the parking permit ordinance, as you guys are aware, since we actually implemented the initial parking permit ordinance, we've made 2 different amendments to it. And as I had discussed even prior to us in the original ordinance, was that we would be continually to review our situations to determine if there are new or different changes that we need to make to the ordinance. So in a process of working on getting the 3 pieces, the initial and 2 amendments together, we decided to bundle them all and remove some things that we already know are problematic, repeal the ordinance and put in a new ordinance. It's largely the same as what we had before, and we will point out what the items are that are changing from something that was not voted on. In doing that, and as now we've got police, one of the things that the police have observed in putting out our ordinance is that, in enforcing our ordinance, is that we had a conflicting ordinance, which was related to trailers and cars for hire. Essentially, that part of the ordinance would reject a taxi cab as well as an Uber or a or Lyft vehicle from being in town overnight. And also trailers, which in our parking permit are allowed to have permits, stickers, Colmar Manor stickers. This particular piece of the legislation or ordinance actually did not allow for a trailer to be in town overnight at all. So it conflicted with the one. So we had to fix that because the intent was not for the type of personal trailers that you see around town. That intent was for larger trailers. So with that said, Chief, you can add any more information on why we're here. But do you want to go ahead and get into what changes are being made?
I can do that. It had to, well, you mentioned most of it there. Conflict with the commercial vehicles and the trailers was that the commercial vehicles, we could not even have a taxi cab, any vehicle for hire, even if the taxi cab was not allowed, and trailers were not allowed either. But in the permit process, we issue permits to trailers, so there was that conflict that needed to be cleaned up. Do we want to go through the page by page, or how would you like to?
Yeah, I would suggest to just go by the pages to where the changes are.
All right, let me try to pull it up here real quick.
Chief,
Yes.
may I point out to you and the mayor and council that if you look at the ordinance as in front of you, anything that is bold, capital, underlining is material that is being added to the existing ordinance. So if you look at this, you will see, for instance, on page 1, beginning of section 10106, A has an entry to it that shows you where something is being added. While at the end, or almost at the end, there are brackets which show you where something is being deleted. So you can easily page through the document before you and see where things are added and where they are deleted.
Okay. So on the screen is, hopefully everyone can see the document. And I don't know who I need to mute here, but we've got a lot of noise. Okay, the noise has stopped. Starting with the let's see. Section 10106 was the overnight parking of trailers being prohibited. That in the what was revised in 2014 essentially said no overnight parking of commercial vehicles and trailers. This ordinance here repeals that and then replaces it, allowing the overnight parking of commercial vehicles that are less than 10,000 pounds. And what we address mostly here is the trailers. And we have limited it to a 16-foot trailer. And I need to find that in this. Well, and it seems that I don't and I don't know if Mayor, this is what the last one that we shared, and it looks like only the first page came through on mine, so that's not a good.
What I sent out with the numbers on it, with the page numbers?
Yeah, this one has the page numbers, but only my page 1 is displaying. That's not a good thing.
Let me see what's going on here.
Have it printed out.
Of the printout I'm looking at.
Okay, you want me to share my screen?
Yeah, if you could share your screen, then we'll go through that way. And I'm sorry about that. I have the printed copy, but whatever. For some reason, only one page.
You got to stop sharing for me to share.
All right.
All right, you can see this? So,
All right.
okay.
I can see it on my end anyway.
What I'm seeing is as a change, as explained by Mr. Bart, except as provided herein and elsewhere in the town code. That's new, right?
Correct.
removing except as provided herein. Okay, so I guess the purpose of that is to say elsewhere in the code we'll mention trailers defined differently.
Yes.
Okay. And then when we get to the next change, I see where we changed from an 8-passenger to a 15-passenger.
Yes.
Removed the language that related to any and or we can use to transport passengers. Wait a minute. Also, okay, we're deleting out is designated or used to transport one passenger, including the driver or more, regardless of weight for compensation. So that's our Ubers and our taxis, and that's been taken out.
Yes.
Okay. And then here, we're taking out taking out in relationship to trailers with a registered gross weight of at least 10,000 pounds. And we're adding exceeding 16 feet in length, including the tongue.
Correct.
Okay, and then we're taking out 10 days in jail.
Yes.
And then adding any towing and storage charge shall be a lien against the vehicle and shall be paid before the vehicle may be released from impoundment.
Yes, and that existed prior, but was just out of order in the content.
Okay. Okay, so for the purposes of this section, which is sort of a separate from the parking permit, I would like to ask the council if there are any questions. I'm not happy about the way this was done, in terms of putting these two together when they're separate things, because right now they have the same preamble and they should just be separate. They should not be together like this. This is very confusing. And I really want to vote on this to clean this up. So tell me how we need to do this, Mr. Barr. We need to have 2 ordinances.
I can give them to you. Not a problem.
Okay, so in terms of us taking on a vote with 10-106 separately, accepting the language herein, unless the council member wants to change it, we can take that vote as this language stands. But the preamble, the ordinance is going to be, Mr. Barr, Baden, where are we with ordinances? What number are we at now? Mr. Baden? Mr. Baden? Dan?
He may have dropped off.
I still
Phone
can
calling
see.
me?
Yep, there we go.
Yes, I want to find out. I need a number for doing this ordinance. Well, we need 2 numbers, and I wanted to know what was our next number for ordinances.
I don't know. Kayla and Abby are supposed to be providing that when the agenda comes out. So I don't know where we are at this point. It's supposed to be up to them to put them in and to keep a log in the office. So I don't know.
Dan, would it be possible for you to get those numbers to me tomorrow?
Oh, sure.
Okay, just get them to me tomorrow, and I will have the ordinances onto the council for signature tomorrow. It's not a problem.
Okay, so if we can vote on the changes to section 10-106 of the code for parking, for the ordinance number to be placed.
Yes.
Councilmember, do I have a motion, for us to make these changes?
Yes, it's Councilmember Jackson. I'll make that motion stated.
Is there a second?
This is Councilmember Mendoza. I'll second that.
Okay, Mendoza. Anybody discussion?
Going forward, we should put, because we always have this problem of the ordinance numbers, and with the new year coming, going forward, we can have it on the back of our agenda. So we need to, what's the next ordinance number? We'll have the numbers, like what's listed on the back of the agenda.
Right, whatever the last one, whatever the last ordinance is, maybe we have that static on the agenda and then we change it when there's another last ordinance. I mean, because quite frankly, we didn't get this. We talked about it last week, but we didn't get it till late today. So,
Right. Talked about it. So that's why I was.
We talked about it ad nauseum last week. So, any other questions? I'm going to say this. I feel, and even though I want us to move forward on this, but I feel like this word trailer, it's still not being identified. It's being identified, but in the first paragraph of the change, anybody reading it may just think any kind of trailer. So if the parking of trailer as defined herein, if we can add that word as defined herein, because the definition is later on, for the 18 feet, or the 16 feet, whatever it is, 16 feet. So anybody reading it from the first paragraph should know that there's a definition to go look for. Does the maker of the motion have any issue with adding that for clarity?
No, this is Councilmember Jackson. I have no issue of adding that.
Okay, and the second of the motion?
Yes, I agree. I'll second on that.
Okay, great. So I'll call for a vote on Ward 1.
Abstain.
Ward 2.
Aye.
Ward 3.
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye.
401.
Yes. Okay, moving on to what will be sections 10-117 through 10-127, which is the parking permit ordinance. Let me see. Okay, that's starting here. You guys can see it. This is the first change I see. This is just adding the trailer, which should have been added before in relationship to a parking lot area. Okay, this change, just strengthening it by including Saturday and Sunday, although nothing said it precluded it from being Saturday and Sunday, but that just strengthens, it does mean Saturday and Sunday. Okay. Okay, somebody, can you give me some sort of reference to why this change is in here? You see the screen?
I can see it. I'm trying to find it in my notes here.
Okay.
What page is that showing for yours?
Page 9.
Page 9. All right.
Mayor, which section are you referring to again, please?
Section 10-120, issuance and transfer of residential parking permits.
Section 110,
10-120,
section 120, I beg your pardon.
section 10-120.
Yes,
I can't see that part. I don't see it.
section 120. And what are we speaking about the section AA,
Yes.
residential parking permits for vehicles and trailers?
Doesn't say, yes.
As provided herein shall be issued by the chief of police of the town for a period of 3 years, and which issuance may be renewed as provided herein. Correct?
So this was not something that we
Chief and
talked
I-
about making. This is not something we talked about adding last week.
You want me to wait?
I'm trying to determine the, why this was added here.
The chief and I spoke about this, and our determination was there had to be a finality to a permit. It could not be issued unlimited, and consequently, we picked 3 years. But we decided that we weren't wedded to that, and that the council and mayor could decide to change that to any number they wanted to.
Well, I think that, and it might have just got missed in the past ordinances or got bundled up somewhere in putting the 3 amendments together. But I believe that we already said 3 years. But the big problem in this sentence is chief of police. Because far from the chief of police is issuing permits.
Say that again?
I said, far from the chief of police are the people issuing permits.
Well, the issue name.
No.
Mayor, I think we should table this.
Okay. And what I will do is go ahead and go through the rest of the agenda and then see if we want to go ahead and finish this, so we can go ahead and let our committee reports be done and citizen comment, and then see if we want to continue to work on this after that. So I'm going to move forward in this moment, stop sharing. And go to our first committee report. If anybody else has anything to share about the seniors, I will offer what I do know. We were able to give most of our seniors $50 certificate from Prepare Foods, those who need. We also we have communicated with many of them as to who wants to get individual meals later on this month when we have the meals done. And we've been reaching out to them every week or so just to check on them and see how they're doing. All those that we have a name and number for. Anybody else have any reports on the seniors? Okay, Moving on, we have a report from the Garden Club. I know I've seen Ms. Epps online.
Yes, hello, Mayor, Council, and residents. I'm one of the things that I know I get a phone call almost once a week, and I want to thank you guys so much for checking up on me. So moving on to the Garden Club. We are right now putting the beds to sleep. I'm asking if anyone wants a bed for the winter months, please let me know. The shed is supposed to be coming in. I haven't heard anything yet. If it's here, I know there's a delay because of the COVID virus going on, and there was a backwater the last I checked. But hopefully we'll have it up before the spring. But if we get it up before then, I will let you know. But if we need help, but right now it seems like there's still a delay of getting the shed delivered to us. We was donated for I think 20 center blocks on Saturday, and we put it in the East Garden. So we're gonna try to use that to spread to make our compost bigger in the East Garden. We're gonna start working on the West Garden, try and finish building up these stones. We was going to do it tomorrow, but it likely going to rain 100% tomorrow. And if it rains tomorrow, we're definitely going to get out there Saturday. We have a couple of volunteers that will come out to help us do that. And that's my report.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Any questions?
Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Blue.
Councilmember Blue?
Yes.
What time was that Saturday?
We talking about probably around about 10. We probably go there at 10 o'clock Saturday morning, like we usually do, just to get in and get out early.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
we're gonna try to clean up a little bit. If you have any cardboards, we're asking anyone to have cardboard. If you could just deliver them down at the West Garden, that would be great.
Okay,
Cardboard boxes. I'm sorry.
thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Anybody, any other questions? Thank you for keeping the garden and everything going through COVID. Appreciate you keeping it going.
Very welcome.
Thank
It's a
you.
pleasure. It's a pleasure working with the residents.
Awesome. All right, and the green team report?
I have
Councilman
no,
Jackson?
yes, this is Councilmember Jackson. I have no green team report. I do know that with conversations with Dorita had with the commissioner, we're really trying to do something together because neither one of our green team has been meeting as far as with the COVID. But I have a green team report. I just want to say, one of the residents asked me, is there any way we can have our citizens' comments like, at the beginning of the meeting and our reports?
Have what? Say it again.
They asked me if they can we have citizens' comments at the beginning of the meeting because sometimes they would love to chime in, but they have to go to work. Our meetings can last a little long.
Oh, okay.
So, and then also our volunteer stuff that we report on, like now, we can have them at the beginning because we don't want to lose volunteers because that's very important. But that's it. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Okay, and thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, actually, when I first started, one of the things that I considered doing was moving the comments up. Maybe I'll move the comments after the initial reports before any old or new business so that everybody can still hear the treasurer's report and the police report. And then move the section up and do old business and new business and old business after everybody's other reports. I can do that. Makes sense to me. I don't want people to, because sometimes we do have business that we just need to muscle through. That might take a little bit to do.
Yes, and I'll be one of those volunteers.
Trying to get yours moved up.
Yes.
Okay. On the recreational report, Councilmember Bowden, do you have anything?
No.
Okay. I know that there was a meeting last month before the Halloween thing, so I would expect that Ms. Watts, Renee Watts, will be reaching out to people to work out plans for Halloween. I mean, for the Christmas and the holiday season soon. So I expect something to happen there pretty soon. That's the most I can say. Councilmember Mendoza, do you have a report on Prince George's Municipal Association?
Yes, just real quick, this week on Thursday, the 12th, we're actually having our joint Prince George's County and Montgomery County meeting, and it's perfect with municipal government works. I'd love to have my mayor and my council members along in that meeting. So that's this, I'll definitely send out the reminder again. That's this Thursday evening at 7.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Ms. Epps, I wanted to ask you, has there been any activity with the Port Town CDC or any just all? It was brought back up a couple of weeks ago.
No, I haven't heard anything. We're in the meetings, or every now and again we'll get something from the other towns promoting, like Carter City, promoting their town, but nothing from the CDC.
Okay. Okay.
Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, Councilmember Blue. Would you add in your notes to have Ms. Renee Watts to contact the fire department for Santa to ride through the 24th, Christmas Eve on the fire truck?
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, and with that, I'll go on to, do we have any citizens comment this time? If you do, just state the 100 block and the street that you live on. Your name, 100 block and the street that you live on. Okay.
Mayor?
Yes.
Counselor, hi, my name is Alicia Baptiste. I am at the 30 block of 41st Avenue. And I was wondering about the parking, I guess the visitor parking. So I know that they've put up posts, and now they've recently put up lines around the visitor parkings, and I know that we have a 20-foot mark. It like takes up 2 parks versus it being like closer to the corner and allowing for additional parking. It kind of like there's a park, a little bit in front of my house where initially we had 2 parks and the visitor was able to park, and the residents within the community were respectful of that. Now it's just one big long park, and it kind of removes the parking. Is there, and I know that other residents have kind of complained about this as well, and I understand that the council needed to do something to give designated parking. I'm just saying the space amount or how it was done was kind of done without like really giving perspective to the fact that, they're limiting parking now when we've already have limited parking.
So, to answer your question, we had a problem almost immediately when we decided to put the lines out. The reason that we were putting the lines out was because there was no designation as to what was this parking space. An official parking space is 20 feet. The reason we ran into problems was something that really was not supposed to have happened in the beginning. We were not supposed to have parking spaces in the middle of the block. The non-permit parking spaces were supposed to be on the ends of the block where there was not in front of someone's house. So the chief can speak more to it, but a resolution is being dealt with right now, and I'll let the chief tell you what's going on with that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I just wanted to say again, I wanted to second what you said earlier, Mayor, with regards to the way that you all handle information. My husband and I are new to the community, and I can definitely say that I have gotten more text messages and more emails, and I greatly appreciate the amount of information that you all disseminate. It really is helpful. It is great to know what's going on within the community, and you guys do a really, really good job about that. So I definitely appreciate it, and thank you.
Well, thank you for saying so. Appreciate that. And I'm going to is the chief still on? Chief?
I am here. My phone took a break. To those, we have the mayor and I have sat down and gone literally through every street and every non-permit parking space as well as non-permit parking area. And there are 32 spaces, individual spaces in the town. Most of them are at the end of the blocks, but we have found that some of them, for whatever reason, end up in the middle. And we will be working to move those, A, the end of a block, and B, not directly in front of the house. We think we work it out where it can be next or on the side of a house and not in front of a house. And if I'll share my email address with you, which is tstone@colmarmanor.org. If you can contact me and give me your address and stuff, I'll reach out and we'll discuss it further. But it is a work in progress. We hope.
Thank
to get
you very
it
much,
very
Chief. I
soon.
greatly appreciate that.
All right, chief, do you have a time line on when you work, when you try to get these done and reached out to the people?
By the end of the month, I think they can be moved. We did got about half the town done with the lines, and then encountered the problem with mid-block. So a lot of them are already done.
All right. Thank you for that. And Ms. Batiste, do you have more?
I just have one more thing. I know that we're about to go into the winter, be a moot point. But I do know that off of Newton and I'm Newton and 41st, we have had over the summer and going into situations where we've got the motorcyclists popping wheelies and riding dirt bikes up and down the street. Relatively fast, and we do have a community full of children, so I didn't know if you all had been aware of that or if there were going to be anything put in place moving forward so that we can kind of eliminate this.
So, yeah, last month, we had a pretty robust conversation with people, specifically on 41st Avenue, and issues of traffic. The chief, did some, studying of the traffic light because there was some suspicion that people were racing to get to the traffic light. And chief, I don't know who you sent that to or who got that information. But one thing that I failed in doing, what I said I was going to do last month, was to send a letter out to everybody on 41st Avenue asking for opinions in relationship to speed bumps. And I just got racked and busy and a whole lot of other things, but I'll make sure that gets done before the end of this month, so that we can get a direct reaction from the people on the block on what we best do. Some say one, some say none, some say one, some say we need two. But it's definitely 41st Avenue that we're hearing from. So obviously there's an issue there.
Thank you very much.
Chief, you have anything to add? You're welcome. Do you have anything you want to add on that piece?
No, and I had
specifically about the light?
Yeah, with the light in particular, there was some comments that it was staying green for a very short period of time, and that vehicles were racing to get to the green. Went down and made a number of observations, and at least in my opinion, it seems to be working properly. It does stay a short period of time. It seems to there's a sensor there which senses the vehicles. If one vehicle's there, it literally stays green for 10 seconds. The one vehicle gets through the traffic light and safely, and all is well. But if you're down in like 3400 block of 41st and you see the green light, it's not going to sense you, and there's no sense in racing to it because you're not going to make it. But if there's more vehicles there, 2, 3, or 4, it provides a longer green light. And if a pedestrian's there and pushes the "I want to cross the street" sign, there's even a longer green light. So I think it's working properly. She also mentioned there's motorcycles and stuff. That is a terrible problem, and I hope it's been reduced. It's kind of the thing, we're not allowed to chase them. We know that, and it seems, at least in my observations, has reduced somewhat, but not eliminated completely.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, you're welcome.
Bikers that ride up and down Newton and 41st.
I'm sorry, you cut off. You broke up a little bit. Can you say your full sentence?
I was speaking more to the motorcycle and the dirt bike riders that ride up and down Newton and 41st Avenue. Not so much on Bladensburg Road at the light, but it's in between. They ride up and down Newton and 41st and within the community.
Right.
We'll put some more effort into that. I know that it had been a problem in the beginning of the summer and midsummer, but I haven't seen it as much recently, but maybe I'm not at the right time.
Chief Stone, Councilman Blue. Yes, I know what he's talking about, and he does it in the evening, and it's two of them. It's a younger one and an older one, and it's like Evel Knievel.
Yes, ma'am.
And they're riding through the town, no stopping at no stop signs, no nothing, just flying straight through. Thank you.
So, Chief, I mean, if I know you can't chase them, but it's not going to be hard to know where they live. If you observe, if one of the police officers observes this behavior, and then once they've stopped and gone to wherever it is they go to, they can go get them. They can go give them a ticket then, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so I guess if we can just pinpoint, I haven't seen them in a while now, but I do remember when they were hefty at being out there. I must not be around at the right times nowadays, but if we know where they are, and then we can sort of target it, sort of the way you guys had to target Newark Road with the loitering that was going on there, you know, because that's real dangerous.
Mayor, if I
So
can
we
stick
hear
my
you.
mouth in. This is Doug. David and I just heard him. Hi, how are you? David and I just heard him tonight, right around the time that he got home. So that was what, about 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, something like that. So yeah, he's most every day he's out there. We did see the park police. I don't know if it's the same kid, but we did see the park police grab one of those kids and put a stop to it at one point up on the river trail. But anyway, yeah, he's very active.
Okay, well, I hope we're going to get to it. I can see that happening. That's why we need your reports out, because everybody doesn't see everything all the time. And so when we know, and now the chief can target the area to see what's going on there. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you. Do you have any other comments? Citizen comments? Okay,
Councilmember Blue, Mayor. I'm still having problems also on North Road as you come in behind IHOP. The stop sign right there, Chief Stone, that we talked about. Miss Martha and a neighbor still concerned people are not stopping. So she asked, could they have something put around the stop sign, maybe like the that blinks or something. It can't make a person stop, but it lets them know the sign's there. You can see the sign, they're just not respecting the sign. But she wants something to draw their attention to stop at the sign. she's had the car drive up into her yard as you were shown, and she's very afraid. Thank you, Chief Stone.
Certainly, I'll look into that. And I'll just go back to for the traffic stops last month, we increased to 54. Most of those are in town, and the in-town folks are residents in their towns. So I'll leave it at that. But yes, I'll look into that, the flashing light thing.
Okay, thank you.
And I want to appreciate the police for that activity. They have a lot of traffic stops on your report. And so for them starting to really catch these people going to stop signs, it's maddening. I can just tell you, it's maddening. Just watch, people just ride straight through stop signs around here. And I know a lot of it's our own citizens, but you know, at the end of the day, they have to get to no, that's not okay. just ride through the stop sign.
I understand, Mayor. The other day I was coming in town and had to go to the bathroom real fast, and I did a New York stop right here on my corner. So I understand, you know, how important it is, but there's people that just constantly just fly through the town.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of pivot is helpful, but some people just go straight through.
Yeah, all the way through.
But thank you, Chief, for putting in those efforts. Anybody else has anything other than this parking permit thing to talk about?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Blue, once
Yeah.
again, are we going to do the home judging for the lights this year, the home Christmas lights?
Well, I think that's something that is still quite possible in a COVID world. I guess, you know, whoever the judges are can go around and judge individually. But we normally use people from another town, right?
Right. Chief usually sets something up, and we'll get a couple people from Cottage City, and they'll come over and do us, and he'll work with them with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, we do need to move on with this parking permit ordinance. Next month, we have an election. We're going to have a swearing in, and we need to get this done. So if anyone's not interested in sitting through what we need to do, there's not that many changes. It's just that because we didn't get it until late, we're going to have to look at the change and see if that language is right. So that we can go ahead and get this cleared up, because the police need this to be cleared up, and a full clean ordinance is prepared. So that helps us get through the rest of the things that need to be done. That said, anybody other than council members want to leave, please, you know, this is what we're going to be doing. But if you're interested in knowing what's going on with this parking, which is fine, you're open to hear what we're doing in the residential parking. So with that said, I'm going to come back to Chief and Mr. Barr on page 9, where it says the residential parking permits for vehicles and trailers as provided herein shall be issued by the police of the town for a period of 3 years, which issuance may be renewed as provided herein. What I do know is that we had already voted for the 3-year period. So that's not really new. But saying that the chief of police is issuing tickets is not, issuing the permits, it's overextending, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm open for anything. I know that I physically or personally don't issue them, and it's really most of all of that, 90% of it comes through the town office staff, and then the other 10% comes through the police clerk. So it's really the front administrative that issue those and maintain the records. So I'm open to any.
Yeah, I don't want it to be that somebody does something in error, and because the ordinance said it was the chief of police, that the chief of police gets blamed for it when
we don't want that. We don't want that.
So it's better if we say the town, issued by the town.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
I agree, man.
Thanks. Okay. Okay, so going down further, where Maryland was added here, could we not have Maryland here? I mean, we've got Ubers, we've got taxis, and Lyfts that may or may not have Maryland license. Their vehicles, they may have vehicles that, I mean, especially taxis. Let me just be very specific about taxis, because taxis will have our address on it.
Yeah,
But
Maryland law requires that a resident of the state of Maryland obtain a Maryland registration within 60 days. It also falls into those taxes and stuff that the town receives. I'm personally in favor of the Maryland and anything else be an exception. But I mean, it's certainly up to the council. However, what it does not do is you have and we have several of these right now with Virginia tags with a Colmar Manor address, which is perfect evidence that the person resides in Maryland come court time. So this town ordinance does not supersede Maryland law as far as residency and the requirement to obtain a Maryland registration.
so could we just let the Maryland law do what the Maryland law does?
Okay.
I mean, I'm open to whatever the rest of the council want to say. I mean, I get where you're going with it. It's just that the law is there already for it to be enforced if and when it's enforced.
And okay, I mean, what's going to happen is that when we issue the state citation for whatever it is, several $100s for not obtaining a Maryland registration, they're gonna say, well, "I got my Colmar Manor license, my Colmar Manor sticker," but if you take out Maryland, that's fine. But yeah, I just, for the record, as they say, I strongly recommend Maryland.
Okay, we'll leave it on there. We'll leave it on there, unless
it was added here, but it does exist elsewhere in here without where it wasn't added. It previously existed.
and is this? I mean, it looks like it's old language, but I don't understand. This is a valid vehicle registration and a motor vehicle registration change of address card. Would that be and or?
I think it's okay as it is. The way I interpret that is if you have I could have a Maryland registration that does not have a Colmar Manor address, but my change of address card, which says Colmar Manor on it, changes that all in the computer and stuff. But it's
But a person who has a vehicle registration with the Colmar address on it doesn't need to have a motor vehicle registration change of address card.
correct. That's where the if applicable was added because of that.
Okay. All right. Next item, I guess I should be sharing again. Everybody can see where. Okay, the next change on here is it's removing the paragraph that says a valid vehicle administration driver's license showing Colmar Manor as the town of residence, or a valid Maryland vehicle administration driver's license showing Colmar Manor as the town of residence, and a change of address card showing Colmar Manor as the town. So what we talked about last week was removing this as a requirement unless they had a driver's license. If a driver's license if the person has a driver's license, this line item was supposed to stay in here. If the owner of the vehicle has a driver's license, this is supposed to stay. Paragraph A, yes. Are you there?
Female or the chief?
Doesn't matter, you guys worked on this together, but we did not say remove this paragraph. We just needed to say, if the vehicle owner has a driver's license. Are we on the same page?
I'm page 10, paragraph, page 10, which begins a valid motor vehicle registration and a Maryland vehicle registration change of address card, comma, if applicable.
Page, I'm on the bottom of page, what is 9 here, which is A.
Yeah.
Where it says, a valid vehicle administration's driver's license showing Colmar Manor as the town of resident, or a valid Maryland vehicle administration driver's license showing Colmar Manor as the town of residence. Your markings say you're taking this paragraph out. We did not ask for this paragraph to be taken out.
It's repeated up above, isn't it? On the top.
It's like,
Are you understanding where I'm at right now? Can you see it on the screen?
I'm looking, I can't see the screen at all. It won't rotate for me.
So do you know the area that I'm looking at?
Where you're looking, we deleted it as redundant, and therefore you're not seeing it. You're seeing it as being deleted.
I thought you were taking out the requirement to have a driver's license to get a permit or a parking permit. When we talked about people who have vehicles for another family member who don't have a driver's license. So the need to have a driver's license was not necessary.
Drivers, I think we said
And that's correct. And that's correct. The only thing that needed to say on here, the only thing that needed to change in this paragraph was if the vehicle owner has a driver's license, and everything else stays the same. So it will only require. I'm sorry.
The intention was to take a driver's license out of the legislation, because a driver's license has nothing to do with vehicle ownership.
And that's correct. And that's correct. But if the vehicle owner does have a driver's license, we need that to say Colmar Manor. That is really very, very important.
We can set it back in.
Because we just got a notice from a fee perspective. They sent us an email saying, hey, did you guys build a new complex or something like that, or a new area of whatever, because they saw all these changes to Colmar Manor. So that's how we got these changes done, is through this program. And that means money and revenue for the town. So if the person has a license, okay, you just have to change the language to say if the vehicle owner has a driver's license, because And that solves the problem. If the vehicle owner doesn't have a driver's license, we're not bothering them at all. We just do take their registration and go with it from there, right?
Right, I've got it done.
Chief?
Well, I think that if you have a driver's license and you change the change of address covers both registration and the driver's license. So I guess it's no problem with it being in here. I don't see that's really necessary.
Okay. Okay, the next change you have on here is page 10. I think this is missing. It says thus shall be securely affixed. I don't know what that word is supposed to be. Should it just be not there? Should
Oh, let's see. It should be the permit. The thing is where it's definitely the permit shall be secured affixedly inside the windshield. The
okay.
parking.
The parking permit shall be securely affixed to the inside of the windshield or at such other location as directed by the chief of police. And so why was it changed to, why did you take out vehicle at a location directed by the town?
Both instances, because his office is enforcing it and therefore wanted to have where the police department wanted the permit to be.
Okay, I'm okay with that. A residential parking permit for a trailer shall be securely affixed to the trailer near the license plate of the trailer or such directed by the chief. I don't have any problem with that. The next change, which is on page 12, this is a correction in error because we already have voted for this payment for a trailer permit to be $100. So this is just a correction. And then adding permit issued for trailers which are operated by Colmar Manor residents and used in their employer's business or trade shall be subject to payment of a fee of $300. That's not new. That's something that we already have voted on. So I don't know why it's showing up new here. That's new.
It's showing up new because the $300 payment, which you show in paragraph E, was reduced to $100 for residents owning their own vehicles in their business, and to E, where the resident does not own the vehicle and is merely an employee.
I understand that, but we already voted on that. We voted on both of those things, the $100 and the $300.
That's correct.
In a previous amendment, we already voted.
I think the issue with that one. I think that the issue with that one was that in what was discussed at the meeting or what was voted on is what here. It's free for a resident, $100 for a resident that uses it in a business, and $300 for a resident uses it in someone else's business. But it was not reflected that way in the hard copy. But that's what was discussed at the meeting, was voted on at the meeting, but didn't make it into the hard copy.
Okay. Okay. The next one is page 16. The mayor and town council may designate any area of the town to be parking for residential parking only at any and all times, temporary or permanent. Okay, I mean, I just want to say we already voted on that too. All right, but,
Material that wasn't in the ordinance, Mayor.
okay. So a request for the renewal of a parking permit may be made within 6 months following the expiration without charge. I'm okay with that. All requests seeking a renewal following such 6 months period shall be subject to a $45 fee. Fine with that. I don't understand this next one. This is page 17. The mayor and town council may designate any parking space in town to be parking for visitor only at all times, temporary or permanent.
Mayor, I think the only change there is the word residential being replaced by visitor.
Well, I guess it gives us flexibility. I guess maybe, Chief, this resolves our parking permit, the issue in the parking lots.
Yeah, that does apply to that as the way I read this. When we came up with the final document, I couldn't find anything that gave in what was written that said we could put up the signs for non-permit parking. So this was inserted to cover that, and it also does allow for it in the in those parking areas.
Okay. So, further down on this page, number 4, this is just a typo where it says non-resident vehicle parking, and it should say non-permit parking.
Number 4 has been deleted, Mayor.
Oh, well, number 3. No, it's number 4.
No vehicle issued a residential permit
Oh yeah,
shall park in a parking space posted for a non-residential vehicle.
should be a non-permit.
Permit.
Great.
Permit.
For a non-resident vehicle parking between the hours of 5 and 10.
Right, it's just the word.
Which word?
Non-resident should be non-permit.
No vehicle shall be issued a residential parking permit. Spaces posted for parking.
It's just the one word to change. It's non-permit. The postings say non-permit.
Chief, do you have that one?
Yeah, she's correct. It needs to be changed from non-resident to non-permit. All the signs say non-permit parking space and non-permit parking area. So there's
So we changed the word non-resident to non-permit.
correct. Yes.
Okay.
Also, we talked about this before. This sentence has nothing to do with visitors. It doesn't belong in this section of the for visitors. So where are we going to move it?
Well, we can make it its own section.
What, you said make it its own section?
Yeah,
Okay, so then that would mean it's going to be 10-126.
that's correct.
And
And it's at the end of everything, so it's no problem.
okay, so the one thing that did not get changed in here is related to the temporary parking passes. Where's the
That's
section?
correct. That's correct. And that's more an instruction by the mayor and council as to how they want to handle the enforcement of the ordinance. And by their instruction to their employee, the chief of police, they may do so. Whether it's going to be enforced strictly, whether it's going to be enforced liberally, or somewhere in between. It's really not a subject of legislation, because a court distinguishing it and looking at it will say that it's not capable of being enforced. It's searching for the word, and you'll have to excuse me. But
Can we just make it simple? Can we just make it simple and say that, temporary parking permits may be provided at time based on current policy?
certainly,
Okay, because there's multiple different reasons that people need permits, and we don't know people's personal life to put it in an ordinance. And times when people need a temporary permit, and to try to define it in an ordinance is just too hard line.
it's very difficult to define.
Right, so if we just
your language, I will appreciate.
So if we just change this language to say temporary permits can be issued, or the town may issue temporary permits for vehicles, just temporary permits for vehicles based on current policy. Because we can change the policy anytime. We can write the policy, which may include this, that, and the other.
That is, say that. I don't think that's supportive. It's capable of multiple interpretations. You just do it that way. Policy of the town, chief. This, you say, Mayor, is that you issue these permits liberally, and you instruct the chief of police accordingly. The next mayor comes in may say, I want it enforced strictly. And the chief of police will follow the directions of the mayor and enforce it strictly. I really don't want to put that in the legislation. I don't think, and I think.
Well, we have to put something in here. We have to put something in here saying that we will issue temporary permits. What's the language that you suggest?
The language that's in 4, the mayor and town council may designate any area, parking space in the town to be parking for visitor parking at any times, temporary or permanent, and then simply repeat that for the issuance of permits.
No, we're just talking about temporary parking permit now. And by the way, everybody, this is the last item on here that we need resolved.
May issue permits at any time and from time to time, as deemed necessary, temporary permits, as deemed necessary by the mayor and council. In other words, you're going to have a big event. There's a big event that's going to happen in town hall.
This is referring to regular permits. I mean, these are temporary.
These are temporary permits.
Right? But resident permits. Am I right, Mayor?
Right, this is not for visitors.
Right.
This is for residents.
And it references for school, military, which are certainly valid reasons, but there's other reasons. For instance, I go to North Carolina and buy a car with North Carolina tags. I need some time it belongs to me. I live in Colmar Manor, but it's going to take me some time to get some the registration and title all figured out. So in that case, I would certainly should be afforded a temporary permit until I can get that done.
And that's a great example because that's definitely happened before.
Yes, so things like that, or just allow you to get you some time. So certainly for students, certainly for military,
Got it.
and as other.
I'll put language in there for that, Mayor. Not a problem.
So I need to know what that language is going to be.
Yes, we need to know because I'm gonna vote. I'm not sure. We say something like based on a review by the mayor and council and the chief. And like you said, the situation is different, but that gives us a chance to review it.
Well, I mean, what we
Suggesting
Yes,
that
this
the
is
mayor and
Jackson.
council review these, or
what we do right now, and I'd like to really just get closer to what we actually do. I've empowered the staff to make those decisions. They do a really good job at it. They listen to people's circumstances and they determine if this person is in a distress situation. They need the parking permit. It's not something that has time to come to a mayor and council because that person needs a permit right now. And if their circumstances are for that, if it's a short-term thing, like the thing about needing the car, getting your tags, whatever, it might be 2 weeks. So we don't even need 3 months in there because we give out temporary passes for like 2 weeks sometimes. Just because a person has a circumstance, they're supposed to be getting it taken care of pretty quickly. They tell us how much time they need, and we might give them a temporary permit. They got to get it done in the time frame that they said that they were going to get it done. But a lot of times, most of them are less than 2 weeks for a permit. And so,
Keeping like a record or I understand that you're giving the powers to the staff to make that decision. Find the staff, a lot of our staff people live in town too, but are we keeping like a record of it, or is it something that the mayor and council or even the chief can be emailed and say, Miss Jackson, blah blah blah, we gave her a temporary pass, and that way we'll have a record of it.
yeah, so on the backup for their temporary pass, it gives the reason why they got a temporary pass. If it's a situation, let's say, a person says, I'm old and my son's going to come and stay with me for a couple of months while I'm sick or whatnot, his tags or whatever, and he's going to be there for a couple of months. A note has to be written by his mom saying, my son has to be here to take care of me for 2 months. So we require evidence to the issue that they have, and that's attached to the backup. So it's not willy-nilly that they just make a decision. They all know they have to put the evidence with that temporary backup permit that says why this person is getting a temporary permit.
Is that evidence notarized?
Staff makes that decision?
Is it notarized?
Yes.
No, I don't know. I don't think that we've done a notarizing of the whatever, but
it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be notarized. Falsification in the application for a permit, subjects the permit to cancellation and a fine.
Sure, and if the note is coming from the 80-year-old mother who's sick, she's not going to be able to come and get it notarized. But I mean, we're dealing with temporary parking permits, not money or anything like that, and it's temporary in nature. And so, like, if it's somebody who drives their commercial vehicle home, this is probably a big one. It's a big one, and it's not mentioned in here at all because I thought we actually all had agreed on this one. If somebody drives their business vehicle home, we do not give them a permanent parking permit. We give them a temporary one because we want them to renew more often than a permanent one, because I don't know if you're going to have that job in 6 months. So we might give them a 6-month one or temporary, a 6-month temporary. But in 6 months, you got back with the letter, and they have to bring a letter from the employer saying that we require that they drive their vehicles home. We have several of those. They have to come in every 6 months to get a new permit, because we just never know when they may not be working in that location anymore, and so they shouldn't have a permit anymore. So that's probably even by far one of the most popular of the temporary permits that we do. So what's the language to be?
Mayor, I suggest that we have a separate section on temporary permits that says that the town, following the idea before where we took out the chief of police, the town may issue temporary parking permits for vehicles and trailers at any time and from time to time, for the benefit of the residents of the town. You're not going to issue this to a non-resident.
So how about if we say this? The town may issue temporary parking passes to town residents from time to time if evidence indicates the resident needs a temporary permit. Evidence. If evidence shows the resident needs a temporary.
Documentation.
If documentation shows the resident needs a temporary permit.
Correct. And I would say demonstrates in the satisfaction of the town.
If documentation shows the resident needs a temporary permit. If document shows, so where do you want this word demonstrate?
Anywhere after documentation demonstrates to the satisfaction of the town.
Okay, the town may issue a temporary parking permit to a town resident from time to time if documentation shows the need and the resident demonstrates.
If the resident demonstrates, not the documentation, if the resident demonstrates.
From time to time, if the resident demonstrates the need for a temporary permit to the satisfaction of the town.
That the issuance of a temporary permit is necessary and proper. parking permit is necessary and proper.
Okay. How is that language for everybody? Any objections? Okay, so that's the last item we had to talk about right now. Do we have a motion to accept our ordinance for sections 10-117 through 10-126?
126. Yep. 125. 125 was used as no vehicle issued a residential permit shall park in a parking space posted for a non-permit vehicle, etc.
Okay, essentially to summarize what we've changed in this section of the ordinance is where what's been changed essentially. I guess the 3 years for the permit, 3 years, but like I said, everything indicated that we voted for that already, but it's being added in the document. Saturday and Sunday is being added, which it was already implied, but that's okay. Maryland's driver's license as opposed to just a valid driver's license. The fact that the chief of police can have somebody put their permit in a different location than the front if needed. The location where they're supposed to put the trailer, permit for the trailer, that's new. The correction for the fee, the fee which we voted on already was $100 for a resident, $300 for a commercial vehicle to that resident. That was something that we all, this is really mostly just fixing the language of what we already voted on. Again, this is something that we had already voted on, but this is where we can designate any area of town for parking, of residential parking only if we want to. The renewal of the parking permit, giving this time, now this is new, putting in the 6-month period after an expiration date. We hadn't been there before, so that's one thing that's a real change. And that the fee will be, the fee was in there, but fee is only after the 6-month period. That that we can designate an area for visitors only if we want to, doesn't require it. And then changing the last paragraph where the mayor can designate any area of parking in the town for visitors. What was up there? No vehicle issued, a town is going to have its own section 10-126. So it's not a lot of changes, it's just a lot of corrections. Is there a motion for us to approve, is there a motion for us to approve an ordinance affecting sections 10-117 through 10-126 for parking permits in town?
Councilmember Jackson, I'll make it stated.
Mayor, the council member accept an amendment to her motion to state that as amended by this hearing, at this hearing?
Okay, Councilmember Jackson, ended at this hearing.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
This is Councilmember Mendoza. I'll second that.
A discussion.
Yes. We talked about ordinance on parking, and we can have something like a quick and dirty, like a, how you say quick and dirty, something like on a door knocker, just so people can know the main things that we have a problem with in town. And they also can go back referring to the ordinance, but just something they can have it, say update it, and these are the changes. That's it.
I like that very much. We can do that. I mean, it'll help all of us, you know, including the staff and the police and everything in terms of what we're doing here with something like that, a shorthand, you know. Any other comments? I mean, yeah. All right, hearing none, I call for the question. Ward 1. Ward 1. Come back to Ward 1. Ward 2.
Aye.
Ward 3.
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
Ward 1.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, you.
Yes.
You're coming? Hello?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't get to hear what you said.
Okay, so we're voting on approving the items in amending the parking permit as is stated here today. And everybody voted already.
With the changes that you made,
Yes.
the ones that you were talking about before the phone blinked out. Okay, aye.
Okay, mayor votes aye. Okay, I thank you all so much. I know this is quite a bit.
On my last time.
Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
I didn't expect it to be this hard.
You know what?
Yes,
Notify the citizens about these changes before we do it.
we didn't really change hardly anything. We needed to really fix the ordinance.
Inform them.
Yes, but we didn't really change hardly much of anything from what they already know. But what you missed was Councilmember Jackson suggested us doing a door knocker size card or something like that, that sort of summarizes what's in the ordinance, everything that's in the ordinance, and not just, you know, not just changes, but everything in the ordinance. Because most of what we did today was really fix the ordinance. There's only a couple of things that really are changing anything. Like Maryland driver's license, Maryland driver's license is new, and where supposed to put the sticker for the trailers that wasn't there before. The temporary permits, easing up the language on that is new.
Definition of a
Pretty
trailer
much.
is new.
Huh?
The definition of a trailer is new.
The definition.
Right, well, that was the other ordinance. That was the other ordinance.
Yeah.
Definition.
And this was needed also now that we have a full staff, and they'll be able to abide by people. They're able to enforce what we want as far as with parking. So that's why it was needed for us to make sure we're all on the same page on this.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, and the big thing is that we're asking the police to enforce some things that need clarity.
Right.
Say what was going on, but we needed it to be, you know, more clear. You know, before somebody gives somebody a ticket, you need things to be clear as to what your rules are you're looking at.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, it has been quite a evening. I said I put pretty much one thing on the agenda. This is not going to be too bad. But I thank you for hanging in here for us to get through it. And all of your recommendations and your suggestions have been helpful. And with that said, is there somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. This is Councilmember Jackson.
I thought nobody wanted to leave. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys. Everybody have a good evening. Take care.
Again,
Take care.
thank you one and all.
What?